Hi, my name's Ruben. I'm the editor of Leisure Wheels magazine, and we're here in Avventura, the first stop on our Leisure Wheels Mille Avventura, where we're testing 6 compact SUVs. We're road tripping from Port Elizabeth to Cape Town over the next 4 days and taking in some awesome mountain passes and some little dorpies that we haven't seen before, so come along for the journey.
Mille Avventura, or 1,000-kilometer adventure. 1,000 kilometers of amazing roads, places, people. This journey started with an early morning flight for our guests to the Port Elizabeth International Airport. Waiting there were 6 compact SUVs ready for some adventure. After heading out of the PE Metropole, the first stop was in Avventura at Jub's Diner. Famed for its wood-fired pizza oven, the Mille Avventura crew enjoyed some of Jub's finest pizza, and it really was as good as advertised. The team still had some ways to go before the first overnight stop in Wilderness. To reach Wilderness, the convoy had to traverse the beautiful Prince Alfred Pass. The pass is just over 50 kilometers long and winds through the spectacular Kamanasi Mountains. It was a rainy day, but nevertheless a beautiful one. Mother Nature's finest oil paintings on display in all directions. What about the cars then? Well, let's kick off with a funky Jeep Compass Trailhawk. Jeep's latest Compass is powered by a 2.4-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, delivering 129 kilowatts and 229 newton-meters of torque. The power is transferred to all 4 wheels via a 9-speed automatic gearbox. This is the Trailhawk version, so it gets a transfer case and a rear differential lock. So it's a pretty decent off-roader, even though wheel travel is limited. The cabin gets all the bells and whistles, and it's a classy all-round package. But the baby Jeep costs 600,000 Rand. After a leisurely drive through the Kamanasi Mountains, the convoy reached this cool little gem called Mursa Lekker Koek. It's a shop where you can buy anything from milk tart to coffee to, well, a Steve Hofmeyer LP record from 1933. We also heard news that a grootvoet or elephant was recently spotted on a detour road to George. That's one of the famous grootvoete in de Leon Matthias Kringe in die Bos novel. So we headed off on that detour, hoping to spot one of the elusive Ellies. But alas, elusive they remained. Instead, we got plenty of water and mud as the convoy snaked through the beautiful forest. Later, after checking into the Wilderness Hotel, the group headed off to the nearby Serendipity restaurant, an establishment that's won more international awards than songstress Taylor Swift. The restaurant specializes in South African ingredients, and on the menu were dishes like smoked snook pate, springbok tongue, and sticky glazed pork belly. It truly is a gastronomic adventure. Time to head to the shops. When we return, we tackle more mountain passes, including the spectacular SWARTBERG Pass. Welcome back to day 2 of Leisure Wheels magazine's Mille Avventura drive. This leg will take the convoy from wilderness and the Indian Ocean over beautiful mountain passes through the spectacular MEIRINGSPOORT Pass, take in some old cars, and end up at the Redstone Hills guest farm. But first, we had to conquer MONTAGU Pass. This was the first road that linked George and Oudtshoorn. And it was opened in 1842 after more than 200 convicts worked for around 3 years to build it. In those days, before the automobile, ox wagons, horses and walking were the only way to get from the coast to Oudtshoorn. It's a spectacular 20-kilometer drive over the Outeniqua Mountains. Back to our 1,000-kilometer journey. We decided to stay clear of the roadworks around the Oudtshoorn area and rather to stick to the lesser traveled routes, like this gravel road leading to De Rust. In De Rust, we had a quick stop at the village trading post, and then it was on to the magnificent MEIRINGSPOORT Pass, one of the most beautiful roads in all of South Africa. Draped like a drunken snake through the SWARTBERG Mountains and flanked by massive towering sandstone cliffs, the beautiful road is one of those bucket list type roads. Halfway through the pass, there's the infamous waterfall. According to suburban myth, a beautiful mermaid presides in the waterfall's main pool. She survived for millennia by enticing men to the side of the pool with her beauty and beautiful song, only to drag them under, never to be seen again. Thankfully, the mermaid was not particularly keen on the males in the group, and she did not reveal herself. Klaaström is the small little town on the other side of the pass. Famous for being the backdrop for the award-winning film Franse Train, we met up with the film director Koos Roots, who told us all the behind-the-scenes details of the long run up to the actual making of the film.
I don't know if any of you have seen Franse Train. It was one of the most successful Afrikaans movies that we made the last, I would nearly say the last 40 years or whatever. And there's a very interesting little story that when I got married, it was actually given to me by the scriptwriter, the guy who wrote it. He wrote it on a piece of paper and he gave it to me as a wedding present. Interesting little thing is when we did Franse Train, we first shot here in 1969. I did a feature film with Jans Rautenbach. I was only DOP then, director of photography. We did a movie called Papalap and we shot some of the scenes here, and I decided I'm going to come and stay here one day and settle. And so when we looked for the second or the third time we were going to go into production about 20 years ago with Franse Train. I was looking for a location in a little town. I knew about this, but I forgot what it looked like and whether it was still unspoiled like it is at the moment. So I was still flying. I had my own aircraft then, and I came around looking for a location.
After lunch at the Klaaström Hotel, we also had a quick stop at the local car restoration shop called Forgotten Metals. Here, in the middle of nowhere, you'll find, amongst others, a 1938 Jaguar SS Special. We still had some ways to travel though, so soon hit the road to Prince Albert and the SWARTBERG Pass. Before we get there, a look at the next SUV in our lineup. Kia's 2-litre turbo diesel Sportage may not be all glitz and glamour, but it's also the Korean brand's bread and butter model in world markets. The original Sportage used to be a body-on-frame design with a transfer case and some real off-road credentials. The latest version has gone more mainstream, and it's now a more road-biased offering that also happens to have an all-wheel drive system. The turbo diesel engine delivers 131 kilowatts and 400 newton meters, and although it won't blow your hair back, in a drag race, there is plenty of real-world power on tap. At the same time, the Sportage doesn't like the drink too much either. The cabin of this medium specification model has all the amenities that you'd expect, and it's a really comfortable space. This EX model retails for 560,000 Rand, which represents pretty good value for money. You also get Kia's awesome 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty and a 5-year and 90,000 kilometer service plan to sweeten an already sweet deal. The convoy had reached the spectacular SWARTBERG Pass. As far as mountain passes go, this is one of our favorite passes in all of South Africa. This was famous road builder Thomas Bain's final pass, and it's probably also his best work. At nearly 25 kilometers, the pass is a graphical delight. And just when you think you've seen the best view, you go around another corner and there's an even better view. The pass starts 4 kilometers from the town of Prince Albert, and it runs all the way over the SWARTBERG Mountains with magnificent views of Oudtshoorn in the distance once you reach the summit. The gravel track is not as smooth as a baby's bottom, but with some circumspect, even vehicles with lower profile tires can traverse the pass safely. The LEXUS NX 300H is the only hybrid vehicle in the lineup. It's powered by a 2.5-litre four-cylinder engine that produces 114 kilowatts and 210 newton-meters of torque, as well as an electric motor on the rear axle that adds another 36 kilowatts to the equation. The drive is normally sent to the front wheels via a continuously variable transmission, or CVT, and the electric motor on the rear axle is called into action when traction becomes patchy. You can also run for a limited time and at lower speeds only on electric power. The cabin is, as you'd expect from a LEXUS, and an asking price of more than 900,000 Rand, a supremely luxurious and comfortable place. The center console recently received a makeover with a bigger LCD display of 10.3 inches and less finicky buttons and switches. The hybrid drivetrain fared really well on the rough sections of the strip, so it's not just a pretty face. It sells for 933,500 Rand, which includes a 7-year, 105,000 kilometer service plan. After conquering the beautiful SWARTBERG Pass, it was a short hop via some more gravel roads to the Redstone Hills guest farm, our abode for the evening. Set amongst the beautiful sandstone hills, you can ride a horse, relax and look at the hills, eat, relax and look at the hills, go for a hike, or relax and look at the hills, and so on. Talking about relaxing, the latest Mazda CX-5 is all about comfort, relaxing, and refinement. It's actually tough to imagine that the same company that once produced the boxy 323 hatch in the 80s is also responsible for the CX-5. It really is like comparing apples with fine wine. The CX-5 is the largest Mazda on sale here, and the cabin is luxurious and comfortable and also loaded with standard kit. The DE Akira derivative really has all the bells and whistles, including a heads-up display. The Mazda is powered by a 2.2-litre 4-pot turbo diesel that delivers 140 kilowatts and 450 newton-meters, and the drive is sent to all four wheels via a 6-speed automatic gearbox. It rides on an independent suspension setup that manages to soak up any irregularities really well, despite the lower profile rubber on the cool 19-inch wheels. The CX-5 is loaded with kit and can do 850 kilometers between refuels. It also has plenty of poke. At nearly 600,000 Rand, it's not cheap, but you do get a lot of car for that money. It's early in the morning at the Redstone Hills guest farm, the perfect time to take a horse out for a spin in the beautiful hills. We still had a few hundred kilometers to go, so we soon hit the road, hooking up with a famous R62. The beautiful HUISRIVIER Pass just outside the town of Calitzdorp was our second last mountain pass. The 14-kilometer-long pass has almost 40 corners, and the scenery is pretty awesome. It's the perfect kind of territory for the Subaru Forester. Japanese brand Subaru's legacy was born on the rally roads of the World Rally Championship, with champion drivers like Colin McRae and Petter Solberg behind the wheel. Okay, so the latest Forester is powered by a naturally aspirated 2-litre boxer engine, and if you want a Subaru because it's fast, yeah, this one's not for you. The Subaru's Lineartronic CVT gearbox is one of the better examples of the species, at least. But behind the wheel, the Forester has that typical Subaru feeling, sporty, connected, and involving. It's a Forester, so it's extremely practical and comfortable. The cabin is vast, and the occupants sit relatively high with an excellent view out of the vehicle. It's loaded with standard kits, including Subaru's EyeSight Radar Driver Assist system. Under the skin, there's also Subaru's famous symmetrical all-wheel drive system. On a gravel road, it offers excellent grip, the Forester always feeling supremely solid. At less than 500,000 Rand, the latest Forester offers a heck of a lot of SUV for the price. Excellent grip, practicality, safety, and a very refined ride. The large stretch of the road trip loomed to VITARA and then on to Cape Town. But this is the R62, and on the beautiful R62 there are a few obligatory pit stops along the way. First of those is the infamously famous Ronnie's Sex Shop. It always just used to be Ronnie's shop, which sold odds and ends. But one night some of Ronnie's mischievous friends added the word sex, and suddenly more people started to stop. Now, it's a booming business with a bar and some interesting paraphernalia. And then it was on to the best milkshakes in the world. Diesel and Creme in Barrydale not only offers excellent meals, but also milkshakes so thick and filling and tasty, you don't even need to eat a meal with it. It was the last pass on the Mille Avventura, and it was a good one. The 15-kilometer pass snakes through the Langeberg area and eventually joins up with the N2 main road. Trudeau Pass was also just the ticket for the last car in our lineup. Suzuki's VITARA crossover has always been cool and a practical city runabout. Towards the end of 2019 though, Suzuki changed its VITARA game comprehensively with the introduction of the booster jet derivative. Powered by a 1.4-litre four-cylinder petrol engine breathing through a turbocharger, the lightweight VITARA has 103 kilowatts of power and 220 newton-meters of torque, the latter peaking at a low 1,500 RPM. Coupled to a 6-speed manual gearbox driving only the front wheels, the result is a sprightly little performer that likes it when you go and drive it like you stole it. It looks good too. The cabin has all the kit you'd need. The seats have a unique leather and suede finish, and there's an infotainment system with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and MirrorLink systems. Despite only being front-wheel driven, the Suzuki conquered mud, water, tough gravel, and mountain passes. It's a nifty and nippy little crossover that sells for 400,000 Rand. After the group spent the last night at the Rotterdam Boutique Hotel in VITARA, it was time to head to Cape Town and then home. The 1,000-kilometer Mille Avventura drive had been an amazing one, filled with beautiful mountain passes, great food, and lots of fun. The Karoo really is an amazing place, and it's just on Cape Town's doorstep too. Indeed, on this trip, the journey was the destination. See you on the road!